Hi, welcome to this edition of Star Wars Saturdays. This is not being run by the usual GM, Rich Rogers. He is getting to be a player today. In fact, I am running it, so expect you set your standards a little bit lower than you would normally do. But today we are playing Hutt Cartel, the first of 4 sessions of this Star Wars hack of Cartel from Magpie Games. Rather than the real-world narco-traffickers, we'll be playing within the notorious level 1313 of the Coruscant underworld, a hive of scum and villainy on the planet-spanning capital city of the Empire. This session is kind of like a short follow-up from the session I ran during Star Wars Saturday Special Edition, where we feature one returning character, Jaldar Ko, who has gone from a street hawk to a crime lord, thanks to the slightly complicated bargains and deals that he made in the one-shot, which has seen the Hutt Cartel effectively knocked out of control of 1313, and Black Sun, with their new secret allies in the Rebellion, or as they like to be called at the moment, the New Republic. Let's see if that catches on. And the backdrop for 1313 at the moment is that the Imperials have loosened their crackdown following the exposure of a very corrupt officer who died in the line of duty. So the stormtroopers and much of the Imperial force is pulled back. Coruscant security is now is back once again as the nominal law enforcement, and everyone knows that you can bribe Coruscant security. There has been, ever since the attack that killed Amar Atavi, the cartel's kingpin, there has been a seething, barely concealed war between the remaining cartel forces and the insurgent Black Sun. Jaldar Ko has stepped into the void as a Druglord backed by Black Sun. But the rebellion continues across Coruscant, and weapons still keep flooding in to the system beneath the Imperials' noses. And now I'm going to introduce you to our players, who I should note, this is a Gauntlet game arranged through the Gauntlet calendar, and we have used all of the normal safety tools and resources available to the Gauntlet, which you can see in our community conduct. I am terrible at introducing these at the start of my session because I play so often with the Gauntlet that I just assume that everyone knows it. But rest assured, we have discussed safety tools and they will be in use. And if you don't use them, I recommend that you use them in your own games as well. So let's introduce some of our players and our characters. Let's do it in character keeper order. Let's go with the main man himself, the returning Jaldar Ko.
Sweet.
Hi, my name's Steven. I use the pronouns he, him. Today I'm playing Jaldar Ko, who also uses the pronouns he, him. Jaldar was the Hawk playbook in the previous game, and I think at the end of the previous game we saw him. He'd been picked up and manipulated by the Black Sun agents, and the Black Sun agents took advantage of him to knock off the previous boss, and said they picked him up to dump his body somewhere. And Jaldar talked his way out of this with the Black Sun agents and said, "Oh, I was working for you all along. I knew that, and I'm here to be a partner." So they used that, quick shift in tone to put him in charge of everything. So Jaldar was always, all about style and making sure he looked good. He had his own nightclub called Jeldar's, and he made sure everything, looked, was more opulent than it really was. Now he's kind of settling into, hey, I'm more opulent. I have that lifestyle that I've always looked for, but it's very tenuous because I'm a new boss. His old nightclub has changed from, Jeldar's place to the Nine Lives, and he makes sure that, money flows there, and everybody knows who's the boss. He isn't running it himself, of course. He has some lackey who's running it, but whenever he comes in, he gets the VIP treatment. And we have a number of things that are going on. As Will mentioned, there's basically we're right in the middle of a gang war with the Hutts. Let's see. Is there anything else you'd like me to mention? I'm recruiting from the local Coruscant for my enforcers.
I mean, that was your major problem, wasn't it? Was the gang war with the Hutts? What was your other trouble?
Yeah.
It was. The other trouble
My other
was...
trouble is greedy Imperial agents who are bleeding me dry.
Imperial attention has waned since everything was pinned on corrupt officer Xanatos, but they're always looking for rebels, not gang wars. And so making sure that they don't ever draw that connection between the gang wars and the rebel weaponry is involving a heavy amount of bribes. I think that's everything, other than to say that you have taken some of your previous hawks, the people who ran with you, and now they've been elevated to your personal bodyguard and etc. Which the El Narco has a fair few, has 5 to 10. Well, you have a lot of enforcers, don't you? You have 20 you've recruited heavily from the local population.
Yeah, I think a lot of those are actually from Coruscant. I have a few that have been brought over from, trusted lieutenants and hawks and that kind of stuff. Yes.
Well, I think if you could, in the NPC, if you could name like a couple of them, like perhaps your old crew who are running with you, like what position they have, and then like the figurehead of the Coruscant group, right? Because when I played the Crime Road, I found I had like so many people, but I basically just boiled it down to the one who was going to stab me in the back and the one I trusted, and that was it. Everybody else was just shadowy extra in the background. But perfect, thank you very much, Stephen. Can I ask you to rename your Zoom thing when you get a chance, please? And then that moves us on to Rich.
Hey, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns. I'm very excited to be playing in Hutt Cartel for the first time. I've played Cartel, but I've never played a player character in Hutt Cartel. So very excited. Thank you for the invite. I'm going to be bringing back an NPC from a previous Hutt Cartel game named Etima, E-T-E-M-A. She is a Ratataki who worked as a dancer and sex worker for Setsu's show Cantina, which was exploded during rebellious activities. And somehow she got herself mixed up with the New Republic and has become a spy for them, coming back to walk the dirty, wet streets of 1313 yet again. But now she has a mission. Her mission is to so I check my thing, build a long-term alliance with a local crime lord against the enemy. So she may be trying to buddy up with the brand new Jaldar crime lord there, and we'll see how that goes.
I like it. And then we have Anders.
Yeah, I'm Anders. I use he, him. I will be playing Skara. She is the hawk. So she has her gang. And this is, she has a few people who are close to her, the ones she came up with, and they have recruited a few more. I think she's probably brought in by Jaldar because they have some good connections on pushing drugs. Basically, he's already got the muscle, but he needs some way to get the money in.
You're like the street level, basically. You're the street level
Yeah.
thug who actually sells some of these drugs and does the stuff. Nice. You're the local talent that prior to the vacuum left by this war and Jaldar's promotion and everything was probably too small to even classify as a street hawk. But now, brave new world, brave new opportunities.
Probably. We are I don't know if I should go into details.
Yeah,
but,
so why don't you give me something about your crew? You've got who is it who's always there when you need them?
That's Tren.
Mhm.
She's like a sister to me. We're about the same age. I think this is a gang of youths. We're like the leaders were like 17, 18, 19, like late teens. And most of the gang are in that age span. Maybe some are younger. I don't want to get into too young.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that's Tren.
Not like sending a 10-year-old up against the Trade Federation, right? Like that'd be awful.
Yeah, we'd never do something that terrible. We're not
George Lucas.
we're not that bad.
And then you have who is it who's like the wild card of your crew, who's a real laser brain?
That's Rix. He's as dumb as they come, but he's popular. He knows how to party, and he a lot of our not the core group, the ones on the fringes, they really look up to him and think he's really cool.
Probably a really good salesman as well, right? Like
yeah.
Nice. And who is it who cheers you up when the poodoo gets rough?
That's Latel. She is probably the newest addition to the core group. But she's fun to be around, and yeah.
But she's something of a newcomer to the life, let's say.
Maybe she's probably maybe a year or two younger than the rest of us. So she's the one we've picked up from the later recruits.
I like it. Okay, thank you very much, Anders. And then finally, this is a great name, Philip.
Sure. I'm Philip. I use he, him pronouns, and I am playing Crix Herrer. He's Coruscant security. With all of the stuff that has gone down on 1313, there was generally a purge of everything. Crix spent his entire career in Coruscant human resources. That's what he did. He hired people. He made sure things went smoothly. He was not really a field guy, but things changed, and suddenly now he's part of this Coruscant anti-cartel / anti-crime task force that's ill-conceived. He was, so he saw the records of a lot of the things that went through. So he kind of pushed a couple people towards Jeldar about, the Coruscant people that were coming out. He got paid a little bit during the course of that this was his first time being corrupt, I guess you would say. And it kind of took, that's one of those things where he kind of enjoyed it. He saw some, he saw some real money. And now he's kind of, he thinks he's a lot more worldly experienced than he probably has been. And now he's kind of playing everybody, or at least that's what he thinks in 1313. Oh, you're muted. I think you're talking.
Muted. Okay. First drink. I need to get alcohol for that one to work. So who is your new partner?
Tuk Tuk. Tuk Tuk is an Anslin. So he was part of Coruscant. People that know Star Wars, Babu Frick was an Anslin. He was his job in Coruscant was he was to crawl through the ships and determine if people were where they had smuggling, where they smuggled stuff. So that was kind of his job. It was a intership tunnel rat sort of thing. When everybody else got promoted, he got put into the field too. So he's his current partner also kind of green, not really used to being outside with other creatures. And he, so Crix is kind of seen driving around in his speeder bike with Tuk Tuk tends to ride in the the equivalent of the sidecar.
Okay. That's your new partner.
Yep.
So I guess that means as he's your new partner, you're still sort of cautious around each other, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yep. He's used to, he would be the guy in the real world cartel that would be crawling through the car to find the cocaine in the tire spokes. He's doing
well. I was just thinking that's perfect. He used to work for customs, basically, right? Like,
yep. That's what he did.
I can only imagine what sort of stuff you could get up to in customs. Yeah. And who is suspicious of you?
There's another person in our unit, Mariel Batty. Mm-hmm. And she's been she's a person that came from finance, which is finance and human resources that they've always had a thing, but now she's also in the field, so we're all kind of trying to figure out what's going on. But she's very detail oriented, very few things pass her by. And she's exactly the kind of person to notice when things just aren't quite adding up the way they should.
Probably gets along very well with Prefect Rex, the droid, the experimental droid, who is in charge of your unit.
She's more or less a human droid. At least that's how Crick sees it.
I like it. You also end up working with a few NPCs from the cartel.
Yeah. I kind of have the handful of extra names here, so I figure these are the individuals that I kind of placed in the cartel, or kind of pushed towards the cartel. They are at this point indebted to me because I got them employment. The thing that they would probably not like to know is I was the one that kind of chose them, that they should be the ones let go.
Oh, I love that.
Because
you were responsible for, maybe there was like a little trickle at first, but you were like, he needs like 10 more guys.
I knew the ones whose credit cards were maxed out. I knew the ones that had a sick wife. I knew the ones that I knew the ones that had just took just enough pressure to make them be corrupt. And those are the ones I made sure lost their safety net.
Nice. If this was D&D, I would give you inspiration for tying a noose for your own neck. But who was almost giving you away? And I would also like to, whatever characters we define here, I think that these are part of Jaldar's gangs, right? Like his crew of enforcers kind of thing. They're part of it. They're tied together this way. But who almost gave you away, like to your to this CSF, like who blew that you were corrupt almost?
I think Asori Abrin turns out didn't realize that she had relatives that were in other areas, and she went from having very good reviews to having very poor reviews very quickly. And she kind of raised the red flag, and some of her folks started to poke around. So she's a little suspicious. But as far as Crix is concerned, he's absolutely mollified her. She's she's good.
So sorry, Abrin nearly worked out that you were responsible for them getting made redundant, basically.
Yeah, so somebody had to come in and write these reviews, and as far as she knew, I was the only person that was around that potentially could do that, but nobody had any proof.
I mean, it feels like in the world of cartel, she's worked that out. What have you promised her to make sure that she doesn't tell anyone else?
I've made sure that she got a really cherry position when she moved over. She's in one of Jaldar's. She's basically she's around Jaldar more than some of the other folks are. She's given the opportunity to, she's given the opportunity to shine. Crix is giving her the opportunity to mess up and right around the person that could have her executed. You know, just
maybe she's Jaldar's driver. Does that work for you, Jaldar? Yeah, I think because that feels like a cushy job for in a criminal organization, doesn't it? You know, drive the limo speeder, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
so yeah, sorry, Auburn, and she's got the cushy gig right now.
nice. And then who is it who's offered to help you scam Blackson? Jaldar in particular.
Yeah, I would want this to kind of be somebody in Jaldar's crew, not necessarily somebody that I placed.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so this is one of those where Crix is 90% sure that this is a loyalty test, but he's not sure.
So we go in with Prax the Jawa Thief, who I'm kind of imagining Prax the Jawa Thief as maybe like now being like the replaced Jaldar as kind of like the compare for the 9 lives, you know, like the floor manager. Does that
Sure?
work?
Yeah, I think Prax kind of I think Prax kind of floated an offer of, you know, what, you know, why are you working with Jaldar when you could be, you know, when you can go directly to Black Sun. If you want, I can put you in touch. And Crix is very sure that that's set up, but you know, he's not worldly enough to know for sure.
You're like the opposite of Jim's hard-bitten CSF officer.
Yeah,
who was corrupt as a day is long and knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh, Crix is so far above his head right now that he does not know how far above his head he is.
Nice. Okay, those are our group of utter scumbags. Now, I didn't mean to say this, but the way I think of Cartel is that you're all horrible, horrible people who may have some redeeming qualities, but the chances are you'll all meet the ends that you deserve by the end of Cartel in one way or another. I think we're all on board with that tone.
Yep.
Great. Cool. Because otherwise it's going to be hard for us to do the heroic version of Cartel. Although I guess this is the first time we actually have a vaguely noble character in here, the spy. I'm sure that won't go horribly wrong for them in any way.
I'll make her somewhat irredeemable if I can.
I have a quick question about what's the name of the driver that you just established?
That is Asori Abrin.
Yep. I can.
Abran even.
Yep.
It's at the end of.
Yeah, if it's on my under mine on line 50.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Do you want to pick a picture for her and put it in NBCs, or do you want me to do it?
You can go for it.
Oh, and as you know, Games Master, I hereby give everyone authority to fiddle with the character keeper, enter NPCs, pictures, etc. Having played with Rich and Stephen before, both of them are far more active in doing that than I ever would be. So,
Gracias.
yeah, please feel free. And so now let's go back around and do some of these ties. We'll do. Let's do one after the other, I guess. Stephen, is there any ties you would like to throw out?
Yeah, I'll start with the first one. So tell me if this works out well. Someone is family, but you've tried to shield them from the worst of the cartel. Tell them what they know about your dealings. I like that being the spy Atima. What do you think?
I love it.
Because I think it helps draw you into, you're trying to learn more. I've told you a little bit about what's going on. You don't know a whole lot, but you're trying to get more out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you like, I'm imagining like family in the informal sense of the word, you know, like,
yeah,
like Atima went up and ran a canteen while as you went and stayed behind and became a street pusher, right? now that you're going up in the world, oh, she's coming down. Your paths have crossed once more. I love it. And then Atima, your turn.
And this is an offer, Ender. You don't have to take it, but I was thinking that Atima and Skara enjoyed a professional and personal relationship in the past, and then you cut it off when things were good. What do you think?
Yeah, that could work. Probably the recent past then.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I think.
Oh wait, is ask them why you cut off when things were good. So I guess I'm asking.
Yeah,
you.
so you're the one who cut it off, but I get to decide. Yeah, okay. I think maybe this was before I got involved with Jaldar. So you cut it off when I started getting heavily into pushing drugs, maybe. If that works.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And now she's back down here on 1313, poking her nose into all this stuff. What happened to all that high and mighty hanging out with Jaldar even? Like, what?
What even?
I'm imagining that given so that the personal relationship was more like maybe almost maternal even, or like big sisterish, you know, as opposed to romantic.
Yeah, considering at least my character's age, that seems more reasonable. Maybe.
I mean, that could be another factor, and you know, like Etima's of nebulous Star Wars age rather than old person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can always be like the young romantic not understanding why they're being cut off, kind of stuff. It depends on whether you guys are interested in that as you know, like that theme. Because of you both, Anders is the only one who's ticked the romance options in the thing, but he has said that he is interested in it.
Oh, I also should tick. Sorry.
So what do you reckon? Romantic or thingy platonic?
I think platonic. Before, maybe it could turn into something romantic now. Depending on how things turn out. I think maybe we had some common interest. Maybe I used to work at there was some kind of bar you worked at, right?
Yeah, the Setsu's show cantina. I'll drop it in notes.
Yeah, so maybe I like did the dishes or ran errands or something. And
I think that works out really well, because wasn't that destroyed in the rebellion, like an act of rebellion? So you know, you probably warned Scar away because it's too dangerous.
Yeah, like just to give context, this was not just blown up, but there were some rebels comrades who used it, like snuck in there. The stormtroopers showed up and then lined up a bunch of people and killed a few of them before there was a huge fight against the stormtroopers, and then it exploded. So yeah, it was a very bad scene.
And
so maybe did Atima know that something was going to happen, or maybe she just managed to get me out of there before
I think Atima set up Setsu's to be the place where these comrades could go. And yeah, maybe she gave Skara a big heads up when things started going down.
Nice. Because I think that all of that happened during, you know, the big celebrations on the end of Return of the Jedi and things like that, which in Star Wars lore is met with a huge, brutal crackdown.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that was during that heady period when, you know, we're free. Oh crap. Okay, and then Crix.
Sure. Mine is my first one is You grew up with blank in Sector 1313. You still have a drink after work if you're both free. It's nice to know someone who isn't involved with either side of your double life.
I would say that's a hard one with this, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've normally seen that, although this was playing Cartel, that it's like an NPC who we kind of make up, who's innocent of all things so that they can accuse you of being, but it could go lots of different ways. That's just how I had seen that particular tie before.
Yeah, actually, are the ties aren't necessarily PC, are they? They can be NPCs as well. Yeah.
They can.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go with actually, I'm going to go with a news reporter. Yeah, and the news reporter is named Bramir, and Bramir is she is on the crime beat down here, but it's not we've just known each other for a long time, so I just try to make sure that she doesn't see anything that's going on. But since I'm newly back to 1313, it's my oldest friend down here.
Ooh, someone who's, so it says that you grew up with him in 1313, right?
Yep. So I got out, and now I'm back. This person never really left.
It's the use of a bit of work. Yeah, I like that. Cool. I was going to suggest that maybe you didn't grow up with them here, but no, we're overcomplicating it. I think that, like, if I was to do, I think the serious sit down of Hutt Cartel needs to rewrite some of these ties and things as well. Like the spouse needs a bit of reworking, you and
me. Well, we should like do that. That's a great. I agree with you.
I'd love that. Okay, so Jaldar, back to your second tie.
Right. My second tie is, I'm sure someone is up to something, maybe with another Cartel or Coruscant. Keep your eyes open and trust no one. And I think that Crix falls into that one pretty easily, if you're okay with that, Philip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am good with that.
Awesome.
Nice. And then Etna.
Yeah, these ties, like, they definitely push me to a certain way. I think to lean into how Jaldar considered Tima family, I think Atima's tie to Jaldar is, you've convinced Jaldar to help you with one of your objectives, but their loyalty is limited and fleeting. And it might not even be that Jaldar would screw Atima over as much as got a lot of stuff on his plate. You got a lot of poodoo to get done, and I've got objectives that need to happen. So I'm unfortunately using you to keep that happening. Are you cool with that?
I am cool with that. Let me check in with you, Rich. Is it okay if I screw you over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for checking, because we have that ask first. But yeah, I fully expect the spy to get screwed over. It's kind of written on the tin.
Yeah, I mean, if you're kind of setting that up so that that's part of our relationship, we can find out in play if it's intentional or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good.
Perfect.
I think it makes perfect sense, because I think that after setting all this up, Shashiva Astapone has essentially now become Etima's handler, and Etima is now the grunt on the ground doing the work, which means that you are temporary allied, because the whole purpose of the Jaldar being in place was to make sure that the weapons could move, then in return, the spice can move. So the guns must flow. Just on that note, you know, we can do. We'll go over it again in game, but generally speaking, is everyone okay with being screwed over by other players, or is anybody would like to be checked in with first? Like,
The only check-in I ask, and it's just because I know, is if two people are teaming up on me, just please check in with me first, because it can bother me. One person, but there was like three. I'm like, what did I do wrong?
in the cartel game where I play the narco, everybody was against me. I mean, literally
You were a
everybody. I mean,
champ. You were a champ.
yeah, and it didn't end well for me. Amazingly,
I wasn't against you. My character wasn't against you.
no, and then you died, and then you brought back then you made a character that was against me.
Okay, that's true.
You were the one who
you were the one
who shot me. Rich. You were the one who killed me.
Yes, that's true.
As far as checking in, I'm fine with it as long as it makes sense in the story. So the only reason I would say check in with me is to make sure that it doesn't, mess with my head about where my character is or anything like that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, the last cartel game just got me used to the idea of basically everyone's going to try and kill each other by the end of it, which feels perfectly appropriate, frankly. But cool. Okay. Everyone still hear me? Yep. Cool. Sorry, my headphones bleeped. I wasn't sure. All right. So that brings us to Skara, your second time.
Yeah, actually, I didn't define one the first time around. We just got into it so much with the team as tied to me. So I'll start with the first one. Someone gave me. Yeah, no, it's fine. Someone gave me some new responsibilities lately at my request. They have their doubts, but I know I'll prove them wrong soon. I think this has to be Jaldar. It's what makes sense. If you agree, Steven.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And your second one, somebody disapproves of your cartel work and wants to get you out.
Yeah, I think. I mean, this could be a Tiamat, but maybe it makes more sense with an NPC. I don't know what you think, Rich.
I could totally see Atima and Skara, like Atima's trying to get you out of this. Yeah, like kind of broke it off with the drugs thing, and now I'm back, and you're way more into it than before. Oh yeah, that could break her heart.
Yeah, then let's go for it. It's always more fun to have ties with player characters. Yeah, cool.
And then Crix.
Sure. Blank is the target of an active investigation. You're not the lead investigator, but you're regularly briefed on the case. I'm thinking that this might be Atima's cover investigation.
What, as in you're investigating?
No, as in somebody's investigating Atima to make sure that she actually stays undercover.
But Atima works for the rebels.
Oh, she works for the, okay. So let's see, then I'm going to go, I'll go with Skara then, if that's okay.
I think that could be very interesting for Atima to be the target of a investigation.
I guess if it's an Imperial investigation, I wouldn't be in charge of it. I would be informed of it. Okay, is that okay, Atima? For Rich?
Yeah. Ooh, nerve-wracking. I got it. It's good.
But it's just going to be me that's aware. If I get loop other folks in, I'll let you know.
Okay.
So I think we're good on that one.
I mean, I think that strictly speaking, Jaldar's probably the only one who knows that Atima is a rebel rather than just another criminal. You know what I mean? Because he's the only one who's high enough to get that kind of viewpoint and was there at the
I don't know if Jaldar would actually know. Is there any reason why Jaldar would know?
Did you know? You didn't know that Shasiva was actually a rebel, did you? You were kind of dumb about that. She was just represented a group of interested parties, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you know what? From what I remember of Jaldar, you're probably right. He does not know any of this wider thing, and he's just like, God knows how I got up. I ended up here, but it all worked out, Jaldar, baby.
Oh, but I deserved it, of course. But yeah.
Dress the part, get the part, right? Like, love it. Nice. And then Jaldar, do you have two of the same ties, or is that just copied the same one?
I don't. I must have just copied them over.
Yeah, you've taken somebody under their wing, you respect their skills and talents, and you want to see them thrive. And I invite everybody, by the way, because now we have some connections between enough connections between PCs to complicate. If you want to take an NPC or create an NPC, feel free. I do think there's some of these scream PCs, though,
So my last tie, is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My last tie is, I've taken somebody under my wing, and I respect their skills and talents, and I want to see them thrive. I thought that this would be good for Skara, because Skara's the new Hawk coming in. I used to be a Hawk, and I want to make sure if I make my Hawk's job easier, then it will only benefit me. How does that sound, Eders?
Sorry, I got lost Googling for pictures.
No, it's fine. Is it okay if Jaldar takes Skara under his wing and makes sure that they thrive?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice. And Etima.
Yeah, that was an interesting one after the development from Crix, because the only PC left is this is the tie. Blank thinks you're a trusted ally. The truth is you're setting them up to take the fall when things inevitably get messy. How do you feel about, does that make sense for Crix? If not, we can make an NPC up.
I think it would have made sense before.
Yeah, now it feels a little less perfect. Then I think I'm going to look for somebody in Jaldar's.
Do you want to be my partner?
It could be your partner, okay. Yes. I would suggest, so someone thinks that you're a trusted ally, right? So somebody thinks that you're in it with them. I don't actually see that being complicated by the target of an active investigation. I think both those can still hold true, but otherwise I would maybe suggest Setcrom thinks that you're a trusted ally. The truth is that you're setting them up to take the fall when things inevitably get messy.
Setcrom is
the Black Sun, Farlene, who is Jaldar's contact with Black Sun.
Oh, that sounds fun. Proclaimed master of Terrascasi. Oh my goodness. Yeah, having him take the fall sounds really delicious. Yeah. He's terrible. I'm a spy for the New Republic. It's great. He totally needs to take the fall.
And Jaldar might be foolish enough to not to know you're a rebel, but he does know. Yeah. Some of these things I may have put in just to make Rich go, Terrascasi.
I mean, I'm an easy hook. That's all I'm saying.
And then Skara, your last tie.
Yeah, this is me and X have a plan to make some real money. They worry it's not going to work, but it's a sure thing. I don't think Crix makes sense for this.
I mean, I would suggest that, keep in mind that all of you are familiar with each other to some extent, if you're not friends or you don't have things, you're at least aware that you're all in part of this criminal underworld and you've done some sort of business at some point together. Whether it's you just delivered a payment to Crix or Crix gave you the nod that there was going to be a raid or something,
Honestly, it could be Crix. Remember, Crix is new to this, so he's not exactly sure how, he's not exactly sure how he's monetizing this.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out some kind of scam or plan or heist that Skara could come up with that she thinks Crix would be a useful part of.
Yeah, because he's at the phase 1 do crime. Phase 3 is profit. He's not sure how to get there.
I mean, it sounds like that's your plan, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thinking maybe something involving this gun running, like trying to
Well,
maybe
there are a
steal.
group of exiled non-humans who are quite militant and call for open insurrection against the Empire. On this level, it could be, we don't have to make out, but I think that, like, when you say you have a plan together to make some real money, we can flash that out when you have an idea. But there's, selling guns to people, there's skimming off the top of the drug deals, there's selling people out, there's bounties, right? In the world of Star Wars, there's no reason that it can't be like there's a bounty on someone and you aim to collect, whether they know it or not. So yeah,
I feel like for Skara, it's probably more like a one-time heist thing than trying to scam Jaldar by scheming money or something. I think she sees Jaldar as her ticket to the big time, so she doesn't want to blow that up right away, at least.
But everyone needs to eat, right? As they say in The Sopranos, constantly.
Sure. I mean, in the long run, but
and then Crix, who is your main contact in the cartel?
I think it's got to be Jaldar.
Main contact. Nice.
And I think that, I don't know, maybe we go to a noodle bar or something. Some sort of little hole in the wall.
Well, can we actually? Wow, it depends on how public you want to be. I was going to say, can we make that 9 lives? That would be very public, and it would mean that everybody knows. If we make it a hole in the wall, can we make it one of the established places that we have already?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want to go to 9 lives. I think it would be something else that's
the Sarlacc's Belly, the bar and fighting pit, which happens to be run by the rumored head of Black Sun.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe we go to the fight suit. Maybe that's how we met. Maybe we met at a fight.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, and I love the idea. You have no connection to the Black Sun, right? But because we met here, Jaldar thinks you're on the take from the Black Sun, so of course you're also on the take from him, and he's just kind of assuming some things.
Yeah. Yeah. You can make a lot of assumptions about Crix, because Crix is,
I love the idea that Jaldar stumbled into being the crime lord, stumbled into this overthrow, and now has stumbled into having a corrupt cop on his payroll.
Yeah.
All because he kept making assumptions that weren't backed up. And Crix was just there to watch the fights, right? Like, didn't actually have any corruption at that point, perhaps.
I could see Jaldar just being impressed on just how calm and cool and under control that Crix has everything. And Crix is like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Just pretend. Fake it till you make it. Nice. Yep. I love it. Okay. This is our messy little relationship map. Round in a circle with a few crosses straight through the middle. Okay, let's take another 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and I will do some scenes. If anyone has any scenes that they would really like to hit the ball running with, I enjoy hearing what people want to set themselves up with. So do feel free. We'll come back in 5 minutes. Let's say at 5 past the hour, and I will ask you, do you have anything in mind? If you don't, I'll throw something at you.
Crix has got a pre-move, like a initial move about investigation status. So would want to do that at the kickoff.
Let's do that at the kickoff, yeah, because I can feed into whether you want to do it as well. Yeah.
I think I also have a starting move, which is for the plaza, roll with control. Yeah, I'll verify that, but yeah.
You do indeed. The beginning of the session, roll with plus control. Perfect. I'd forgotten that the game has already built in some starting situation moves. But yeah, cool. 5 past the hour. See you soon, guys.
Sounds good. Right.
Awesome. Now back. Let's start off with I think our crime lords opening session move. The Plaza.
Great. I'm going to roll 2d6,
Mm-hmm.
and I get a +1 to that.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens. I've clicked the button. There we go. So that gives me an 8 total. So on an 8, I get an opportunity to engage one of my troubles, my choice on my terms. And the opportunity is short, and because it's an 8 to 9, the opportunity is short-lived and risky as quickly, or I may find that I miss my moment. So I have an idea for that.
Are you using the Moonpunk room?
I am.
Huh. Oh, no, I'm just misreading it. I was looking down at recent rolls. I can see that last roll is a separate section right above it that my dumb brain wasn't looking at. So yeah, never mind. Cool, you get an 8. You get an opportunity to engage one of your troubles, your choice, on your terms. Which of your troubles do you think you get to engage on your terms?
So I have an idea for the scene. If we want to, so this is the scene that I have in mind. I want to engage robberies, I think, which is one of the troubles.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, robberies. And I think the old member of my crew, the Jawa Prax, has been stealing from me. And I'm headed with some goons, with some enforcers, to go publicly execute him.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Let's just do Crix's move. We'll see if maybe that might overlap. So Crix, you infiltration at the start of the session, roll with grit.
I know nothing.
On a miss, the department catches a hot lead on the cartel before you can intervene. Nice. I love it.
I have a feeling that they know that this execution is about to take place and I am eating a sandwich somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely love it. Okay. So Jaldar, Prax has been stealing from you. He's been stealing from you at 9 Lives. He's been taking, you trusted him to run your club, to keep it going. You brought him up from this. You brought him along with you like the others. But luckily, you know, unlike Prax, Trogo is loyal. Trogo tells you, I'm sorry, boss, but the Jawa, it's been stealing. How do you want to play this?
So I think Jaldar actually is usually calm, and he actually slams a fist down on his desk, and he looks at Annis, right? And to be honest, I've set up Trogo and Annis as my co-leads basically for these enforcers. They watch each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Trogo could just have something out for Prax, and I look up at Annis, and I think she kind of nods, showing that she confirms, yes, everything's on the up and up. And he's like, well, this has to be bloody. This has to be public. Let's go take care of it. Grab your trusted men, because we don't want anyone who might be on Prax's payroll to come with us. And immediately steps out into a speeder.
Okay, you're going straight down there. I think, yeah, Inez stays behind. Trogo gets in there into the speeder with you, and you have thingy. What's she called?
Asori, my driver.
Asori Abrin, the driver, drives you there. Checks a blaster as you go, and you 9 lives, right? Like this is where it's going to happen. And in 9 lives, where could a greater demonstration be held? I just need to make sure that I'm not stepping over the infiltration. Before
If
things get
possible,
messy.
So the question is do I have enough time to call in enforcers?
No.
And the next, okay. And the next question is there any way anyone else could be here, or does anyone else want to be present?
Skara or Etma, who do you think, who would like to be being offered something by Prax?
I'll take it.
Etma. Ah, yes, sir. Yeah, pair of glowing yellow eyes in a back room, and you know, Prax, in the Jawa way, tells you that he knows that you've got something going on with Black Sun. That Jaldar has got something going on with Black Sun, and that he loves Black Sun, and they're great. But there's more money to be made. The Tenwa clan, you know, they've things gone missing in 1313. We usually find their hands into the hands of the Jawas. I mean, why even work with Black Sun when he could just get those little fingers find so many uses for so much of these arms. Just cut them out entirely.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about one of her objectives, which is steal a valuable asset. We haven't defined that, but this could be along those lines. So she's, yeah. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. We can make this work for both of us. Are you just after credits?
And he stabs her hand. And he stabs her hand towards the manager's office room, which sits completely empty, and has done since Jaldar elevated, never letting Prax sit in the big room, even running the club. And he's saying that he wants more than credits. He wants this place as well.
You want this place as well? Oh, it's not mine to give you. So are you saying, what are you saying? Do you want me to take this place over and hand it over to you?
Jaldar.
Ah, so you want me to talk Jaldar into handing it to you? Okay. That makes sense.
Do you want to propose a deal?
Yeah, although now I'm about to roll dice with someone who's going to be assassinated, but that's fine. I don't know that. So I'll propose a deal. I'm going to get what I want. I'll roll with face. And Atima's face is a 1, so let's do that. Got a 9.
9. They can instead choose one. I think that they point you towards an interested party, or they impose a condition on your offer. So your offer is to have a word with Jaldar, right? And I think that this is when Jaldar comes into the club, right? Trogo is still getting out of the limo, right? Like he's loading his blaster, right? The backup's nowhere to be seen. It's just Trogo and Jaldar. And Jaldar's just trying, this is his place. He owns it, right? It's 9 lives, it's his. And so Trogo's not with him when Prax points out the window, goes, speak to him now. You know, speak to him now. That's the condition, is that you go get that sorted now.
All right. Reach out and pat his little shoulder, his tiny little Jawa shoulder. I'll go talk to him now.
Cool. And he sits back in his little thing, like pulls out like a big pipe of something, you know, to hit it, completely relaxed, unaware of what's about to happen. And then Etima and Jaldar.
So what do you think the status of 9 Lives is right now? I mean, is it late so there'd be a lot of patrons, or is it before opening?
I know, I think it's busy, man. Like, I think it is busy, you know?
Yeah, you wanted this to be public, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that, you know, Jaldar walks up and the bouncer, you know, I think there's a line of people to get in, right? And Jaldar just kind of pushes the bouncer aside, and the bouncer stiffens up a little bit and then sees who it is. And, you know, immediately, you know, kind of, you know, looks down, and, you know, Jaldar just opens the door, and right in front of the door is Etima. And says, "Oh, Etima." And I think Jaldar was kind of scowling whenever he saw the bouncer and opened the door kind of brusquely. But when he sees your face, he actually smiles, and he puts an arm around you, and he kind of, you know, says, "You know, how are you? You know, how are you? It's good to see you."
Oh, and Etima absolutely plays in on this. It's a big club. It's showy. She slides and kind of melts against you and says, "What brings you to this wonderful place? It's so nice to see you, Jaldar."
Well, I've got some business to attend to, and I think it might be good that you see, you know, how business is handled. And, you know, as he says this, is walking with you towards where they see Prax in the background.
Oh. Yeah, well, that sounds great. That sounds great. How business is done? All right. Anything you need from me?
Oh, no, I think just pay attention. Did you want to do anything before I resort to violence?
Crix, what's the name of your partner again?
Tuk.
And what race is he?
And Anzelin, basically.
Anzelin.
Yep, Babu Frick.
Yeah. Babu Frick. Who was Babu Frick again?
The little
He
guy
was the little droid
From the
worker.
sequels? He was the one who tore C-3PO up.
Yes, of course.
That's how we go through things.
Yeah. Yeah, he's tiny, isn't he? He's very tiny. Yeah. I know. What is Batty? Batty is a human, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. You see a very well-dressed, crisply dressed, off the rack clothes, you know, like brand new, still got the labels attached. Woman walking in, looking very uncomfortable, and then heading straight over to Prax, leaning in and whispering to him. And then Prax, like, his eyes go wide, and he ducks under the table as he pulls out a blaster and fires at Jaldar. And I'd like you to mark a stress, Jaldar, as blaster. I think you'd both like to mark a stress as suddenly a blaster bolt fires across the room.
Great.
Crix.
Yes.
Where are you that you're not paying attention to your comm?
Oh, I'm probably having lunch somewhere. I could be at my house. You know, yeah, this is one of those where, yeah.
You have a speeder, don't you, as part of your gear?
I do.
Yeah, I think you're on your government speeder by like a road, like a food truck type place, you know, like eating some noodles or something. And there's like the comm on the speeder is just like filled with messages when you've been sat on the dash, on the bonnet, right? Like trying to, on the hood, sorry, go American. And you get in and you've got message after message from Prefect Rex saying that Batty needs backup. she's about to go acquire recruit an asset from what's it called? Recruiter informant from 9 Lives Club.
Oh hell! All right, I drop the noodle bowl, get back in the car, kind of start heading over that way.
How do you head over?
I'm not actually going to do anything too crazy. But what I am doing is I'm driving my speeder, and I'm kind of reaching in the back looking for my other comm, my personal comm.
The burner comm kind of thing.
Yeah, the burner.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just send a message to Jandar and just say you get something like just giving you an advance warning, something's about to go down at your club.
And I think, I think what we hear, no, I think that's fine. I think that Jaldar, has this earpiece, and it's kind of molded because he's a Duros, so he doesn't really have this, and it looks like those wrap around the back earphones kind of thing, because it's got to be fancy looking, and this kind of comes through, and he just kind of scowls, cocks his head and scowls for a moment. And that's where the shot comes through from Prax.
Yeah. Just as you turn your head for the thing, right, and then right past your thing, right. Okay. Prax is scurrying away, and this woman has pulled out a blaster of her own, and she's pulling out something else from her pocket.
And I think
she's yelling something as well, like. What happens?
Yeah. Jaldar's focused on Prax completely. And shouts immediately, Trogo, get in here. There's a mess. And he fires on Prax.
Ooh. So are you ordering your enforcers or agents to solve a problem on your behalf? Like deal with this woman? Or
not yet.
Okay.
I think we had established that Trogo hasn't made it in yet.
He can be. He can be storming through the room as this is coming in,
I'd like to see what happens with Prax first, so I think I want to do violence on Prax.
Okay, you pull out your own blaster and roll plus savagery.
Yeah. So I'm going to roll the 2d6, and my savagery is a 1.
This could go very badly.
Okay, it's rolling. Maybe. Oh, I rolled a 3, so that makes it a 4.
4. Cool. Well, I'm not going to have you take a lethal blow. There's no XP on a miss, sadly. I do think you get shot. You are injured. Is there a mark for that? There's not really, is there?
Injury would be stress, and then if you get carking shot, you get carking shot.
Oh yeah, they get carking shot. Do I want to have you roll get carking shot?
How many sessions is this for? Because we might set a record here.
Yeah, the Druglord dies in the first instance.
That sounds great. I mean, I'm up for that.
Okay, and you roll to get carking shot.
Okay, so when you get carking shot, add 1 for each. Is it a blaster pistol?
It is a blaster
This is coming
pistol,
from the woman, so I think that's true.
No, it's not coming from the woman. It's coming from Prax, this one. So it's
it's coming from Prax.
It is a handgun. That's a +1. The shooter is an amateur. That's a +2. I don't think Prax is much of a fighter. You have cover, body armor, or a bodyguard? I'll go with that. Yeah, that's a +3.
Okay, so +3. So let me roll that. That is another 3, so that's a total of 6.
Estimer, do you try and help out Jaldar here, or do you let it all play out?
I gotta help out Jaldar. I'm gonna do that thing. I'm helping Jaldar because Yeah, he's got way more power, and obviously I misread the value that this Jawa offered me. So yeah, I'm gonna help him out. Okay, let's see. Help or interfere. I'm gonna wager stress and roll. On hand, I'll give them a +1. So I only have 2 stress. I am going to wager 1 stress. Here we go. This is a terrible, terrible thing that we're doing. Oh, that is a 7. You get a +1 to your roll.
Nice.
Okay,
So
so
you
that-
mark that stress. Yeah.
That makes me a 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I choose 1, and the shooter chooses 1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it's messy. The wound will leave an impressive, ugly scar. I think this is on a face.
Oh, I think that it blows that comlink
Oh yeah.
off. You know, like as you turn your head right, and you duck, and then you're firing back, and it's auto playing like the message from Crix. Like the little hologram of Crix is appearing before your eye as you're shooting, and then explodes on the side of your face. So yeah, you have it's messy, and I think it's painful. -1 ongoing until you get some medical aid.
Okay. That sounds perfect.
Yeah, and yeah, then Etima slams into you, knocking you out of the way of the next shot, right? And this woman has pulled out a CSF badge, lights up in hologram, and she is yelling, "Everybody down! Everybody down!" And Trogo just opens up with like this huge heavy blaster, right? I would like you to take 1 ongoing to heat, by the way, Jaldar.
Okay, so
And Etima, in fact, I think both of you can add +1. So if you want to leave that one to the left as 0, and we could just put it in the right-hand box, like what it.
Okay.
Because those are like your default heats, which will reset when sort of circumstances are change, you know. But I think for the context of being in the middle of this, you've definitely both gained a +1 ongoing for any heat rolls until this is resolved. Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts in Cartel. No, I look at it. Yeah, cool. And they're getting away. They're slipping through the back door. Skara, who is in the back? Who is in the alleyway with you? And what are you doing?
Ooh. I think sorry. I think that is going to be. I check the names. Latil. This newly recruited to the inner circle.
Nice.
And we're just we're hanging out back there. Just you know, talking, smoking. I don't remember what the Star Wars
Death sticks.
Death sticks, yeah. The very subtle death sticks. You know, just in case someone has a job for us. But now we've heard blaster fire, so I guess, but that's just happened. So I guess we've just dropped our death sticks, and yeah.
Yeah, and a woman comes striding through with a blaster, hauling, like carrying by one hand, you know, like just tugging them along. Ajawa Prax, the manager of the club, one of Jaldar's most trusted lieutenants. And the woman, like Jaldar, like not Jaldar, Prax, like as he runs past, scrabbles at you and goes like, you know, in Jawa, like he's ranting away in Jawa, and he's like, "Do you have a speeder? Do you have a speeder?"
Hey, where do you think you're going with a Jawa?
Listen, there's a hit on him. We got to get out of here. You got a speeder? He'll make it worth your while. And the Jawa's like,
yeah, and since they're not giving any more details, I figure, yeah,
well, you can
Scara is going to believe this is some rival gang or something that's gunning for Prax.
You could
so-
size them up if you doubt it.
Yeah, that sounds right. So that is size someone up. That is savagery. Okay, I'm not good at that. Yeah, I have a 0. Okay, so. Let's see, that's a +0. And the dice are rolling, and it's a 7.
Nice.
No?
So,
Is it? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it
7.
is. Yeah, I was looking in the wrong place, but there was a 7 there as well.
So, what do you choose from that list?
Yeah. I get to ask one. Ooh. I think, what do you intend to do next?
As they're talking, you see her tuck a CSF badge into her jacket. She's planning on taking Prax in.
Well, if it's one thing I've learned, it's that you can't trust the cops. So I think I'm going to pull my blaster and shoot her.
You're just going to shoot her? No. Okay, cool. Go for it. Turn to violence.
Yeah.
Take a. No, I don't think you take a +1 ongoing for that. I think you can just shoot her.
I mean, she's something fishy is going on. She's a cop. I don't trust her. I'm not shooting Prax because he's a valuable person to Jaldar. So this should be in Jaldar's interest. Is my idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do I roll turn to violence?
Yes. Roll with plus savagery.
Yeah, that's a 0 again then. That's a 6.
Yeah, we're not going well with these things, are we? I think that on a 6,
So I have a question. Is it possible that I could help through Trogo?
well, no, I think that what happens is this is while the club is like packed with screaming people running away and everything, right? That's slowing it down. This is all happening in the alleyway outside. I think on that 6, you don't get shot because you don't even get your gun clear, right? You see it around, and before you, then she just turns around and just punches you straight in the face, knocking you down. I'd like you to take 2 points of stress. And she grabs the blaster out of your pocket, so you no longer have a blaster, your second-hand blaster either. Oh, you know what? You get to keep your blaster, and she takes your Poodoo speeder bike.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that actually.
Yeah.
I probably have my speeder bike parked like just outside or maybe in the alley actually.
I would like to use a move now.
Yeah, what is it?
Which is, in this case, which is Mark Struss to show up at a scene alongside Coruscant security or the ISB, assuming that you aren't available. Assuming that you aren't unavailable. So at this point, I know what I want to do is I want to spend that stress to pull up with my my speeder, just as they're there, open it up, and have motion to the CSF officer and Prax to get in while brandishing my blaster that I'm covering and saving their ass.
I think then what is happening is that she steals that Poodoo speeder bike, right? Grabs Prax onto it. Your companion, the new recruit, like doesn't react fast, and she's just overwhelmed by it and like steps back. And they get off on the speeder bike just as like CSF cruisers and stuff start to like drop down from the higher levels to back this up. But she is away on the speeder bike into traffic, which is when Crix Hera pulls alongside in his speeder rather than anybody else. You're the first person to come across them as they're speeding away from the club.
And I will message her and I go, I just got informed of your what's going on, and I kind of look back and I go, what can I do to help?
Well, let's find out what Jaldar does back in the club.
So I think Jaldar's all, the side of his face is all bloody, and he starts screaming at Trogo, kill that carking piece of stupa, just, and just points, right? And this could be that big shot move you were talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going to roll big shot, which is plus face, which is 2, but -1 ongoing. So let's see what that looks like. So I rolled a 6 plus 1 is 7.
Mm-hmm.
On big shot, this is I have a choice. I choose one. I'm going to choose that they keep their wits in focus. That means that they do not minimize incriminating evidence and they do not avoid collateral damage. So I think he's blasted up the place.
Yeah. And I think that what he does is after you say, get after him, right? He just like goes, and you see him shrug off this big like poncho that he's wearing, and underneath it he's got a jetpack.
Ooh.
And he presses the button and fires straight up through the glass at the top of the big window on the side and comes crashing out above. So Crix, as you're driving along, right, and there is you're waving over to Batty, and she's like speeding on the bike, and she looks over at you and she's like, Crix, what the hell are you doing here?
I got called in. I'm told to back you up. Normally, you're supposed to call before you do something stupid like this. Prefect Rex just called me in the middle of lunch and says, I need to come and save you.
Then the Jawa lets out a scream as from up in the sky above you, there's a trail of black smoke coming from all the neon sort of lights and the flashing the high-speed traffic as Trogo comes with his heavy blaster rifle, spraying blaster bolts, which ping off the side of your your speeder, and she jukes the bike out of the way.
What I would like to try to do at this point is, let's see where it is here. I'm trying to figure out what this potentially is, but I want to speed up and make it inconvenient for her to get away, while at the same time looking like I'm trying to help her.
I think that could be a case of like
push your luck, maybe?
this way, like come on, I know a shortcut, and
Okay.
you take her down and down a place that's actually not a shortcut that'll like slow you up both down enough to, because otherwise I'm finding it hard to work out how you do that on 2 without just ramming into her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yep.
So I think that might even be a justify your behavior.
Okay. Let's see, what is that? A face roll?
Because I think you're also leading her away from the the incoming units, right? Like you're taking her somewhere where this is safe to do.
Yeah.
To wrap this up.
I'll start screaming, follow me. I think somebody set you up.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
So let's see what would be the rule. Sorry, I lost the roller screen all of a sudden. What's the name? What's the which one are we using? I'm trying to.
I just linked it in chat.
Cool. Thank you. All right, so my face is not much. Yeah, my face is 0. Oh. I got a 3. Man, we're rolling bad.
And that's when Prax finally turns around and looks at you and like goes, and she looks shocked and says, "You work for that nerf herder?" and pulls out a blaster and shoots it at you. Yeah. And she is tearing away. But on a they minimize incriminating evidence, they avoid collateral damage. Yeah, she is speeding away with Prax when and you try and lure her down this thing, but she you know, just as she's about to turn after you, Prax says this, and then she just like boosts, like drops the air brakes on the bike and then drops straight down into like more traffic. And the Trandoshan comes screaming past you and then just dives directly down, right? And he tosses aside that blaster rifle and brings out like a shoulder-mounted launcher. And it's just taking out like speeders as they go past, right? Rocking it back and forth. And finally one of them, because I think on the big shot, they do solve the problem on your behalf. You know, if you're on a success, they do it, right? Barring other players' interference. And so he does take down that speeder, right? Sending the Jawa off with a screaming "Wow!" off, crashing into a garbage truck, and Batty, like that speeder comes crashing down onto a long, like running platform, tearing a huge funnel across the ground. And you know what? Even Prax doesn't fall into the garbage. Prax just falls. You know, drops and drops and drops straight down the portal, right? Straight going deeper and deeper into the hole. Whereas Batty is like landed wounded, unconscious with a burning speeder bike on top of a platform. And Crix, this is when you can hear the sirens of the other CSF coming in.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Batty and start performing life-saving medicine on her.
Nice. I'm gonna just let that one ride out. Whereas back at the club, Jaldar, if you go out into the alleyway to see what happened, you can see Skara lying on the ground with a bloody nose.
And I think there's fleeing patrons just streaming out of the place. You know, and I'm like shoving them out of the way. And I go up to Skara and I was like, "Did you get that little piece of poodoo?"
What? The cops have him.
And he, you know, said, "Karkin, you know, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, you know, and he reaches for his comm unit, which is sitting, you know, in pieces back inside the thing. And he turns to, did Atima come with, or is Atima still out?
Yeah, no, I was about to try to find it. Yes, I want Atima to have followed you there, so she's right behind you.
And I think so. Jaldar turns to Atima, and do you have a comm link or anything like that?
Boom! I've got a birder comm link that I tossed to Jaldar. It looks
Right,
like a little lipstick case. It's all white.
And she's, you know, Jaldar looks at it for a second, and is like, and then clicks the little button and says, you know, gives out the orders for his enforcers to, no matter what it takes, take out Prax, right? To back up, what's his name?
Drogo.
Drogo. To back up Drogo, take out Prax. This is a top priority. Make sure it happens.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that when we cut over to Crix, you can see that Trandoshan coming back in, and a CSF like airship comes down, right, and pins him with some spotlights, and heavy guns come out, and then a speeder filled with like your own enforcers just starts unloading on them, and now there is like open fighting between the CSF and because you told them to go and back Drogo no matter what.
Absolutely.
And Drogo just blew the hell out of this freeway, and yeah, now there is just like open fire going on behind Crix's head as this all goes. And then down on the ground, those aren't the only CSF officers. There is a droid. There's a platoon of droid patrol officers that are like that have just been dropped from a crate outside, right? And you can see one droid in a uniform with a tiny little Anzillian sat on his shoulder, and he's directing people into 9 lives, trying to get through all of these crowded people. It's kind of hot here, guys. Who leads the way out? Who to flee from security?
I'm gonna grab Scara and try to lead them off. Jaldo, we gotta go.
And I think Jeldar's just so angry. You can see like spittle flying from him as he shouts into that little lipstick case and looks up and says, "Yeah, you're right, Atima. Good job. Let's go."
She stole my carking speeder.
Oh, that's whenever Jaldar flips the button and says, "I've got a speeder waiting for us out front." And he calls Asori and says, "Meet us outside the alley. We're getting out of here."
So you're going to try and race away with all 3 of you into the back of the thing. Nice. Good to see that Jaldar values the 4 of you even. Yes, Lita. Yeah, Jaldar values the small people. I think given that it's all of you, that's going to be rolling with heat. I think given that it's Jaldar's, who's got the highest heat rating here? That's Jaldar, isn't it? A 1. Yeah, so Jaldar, would you like to roll that?
I sure will. Let me roll that. Ooh, I rolled
of course, that's when you roll high.
Yeah.
On a 10 plus, you're fucked. Mark 3 stress, get caught, or get shot. All of you get to choose from those options because this is not a clean getaway.
I'm already.
I give you the. You know what? Does that feel fair, or do you think it's fair to let everybody roll flee from security? What do you think, guys? I feel like I'm taking away an option for you.
I feel
easy?
like, so just to be honest, I feel like as the big boss, I'm taking most of the roles and most of the direction. So I'd like to see everybody else get a chance to do their own thing.
Well, you choose one then, Stephen, because you do not get away.
And that's under
easily. Flee from security. Yes, okay. On a 10 plus, you're carked. I should change that. And I apologize for whenever I fail to use the Star Wars swear words. Mark 3 stress, get caught, or get shot. Your choice.
Okay.
What do you choose, Stephen?
Well, I don't think I have 3 stress to mark. I've already been shot. And so, but it doesn't make sense. Maybe it makes sense if I get shot. And let's roll on that. Or get caught. I'm not sure narratively how I could get not get in a speeder. So can you help me with that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we can treat some of your enforcers like ablative armor in this case. And it's not you that gets shot, it's one of them that gets shot.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I'll still take a couple of stress for that. Making my stress max out. And
But I don't think sorry, Abren is walking away from this one.
You don't think who is walking away?
Your driver is walking
right.
away from this one. Yeah. I think that what's going to happen is that you're getting away, right? And you're being chased through the thing by another gunship. And, you know, you just about make it, but like it punches through like a turbo lift, a disused turbo lift shaft, and you go down it. And when you come to a screeching crash, sorry, Abron is just like dead on the steering wheel, like in the front, crunched.
So like I think the speeder actually flips over,
Mm.
and we all start crawling out from underneath it. And she doesn't crawl out, right? There's just a big pool. That was actually somebody's NPC, is that right?
Yeah, but that was a shared NPC.
Okay. I was gonna say, is it okay if we take them out?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crix is very happy that person got taken out.
Nearly gave him away. Okay, and yeah, I think Stephen, as you know, he took on the responsibility of you guys. If you want to roll the moves, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I'm just going to say that all that has to happen is you mark one more stress. You happy with the marking another stress?
Yeah, sure.
Etima?
That will stress me out. So sure, that sounds fine. I don't even know what
Honestly,
happens when you fill up the stress track.
You just can't. From our last game, from what I understand, it's just basically you can't do like Stephen pointed out, which was I think I had overlooked actually, to be honest, was that if it says mark 3 stress and you don't have 3 stress, you can't choose that option. If it says mark turn to violence and you've got a full stress bar, you have to mark stress to turn to violence, so you can't turn to violence if you've got a full stress. You're too stressed to actually cope with it, which is why the assassin has the ability not to mark stress when they turn to violence, because it's crucial to them to be able to do it right. And you know, I may have felt like I really wanted to do the first session to push you all up and try and get some of those relief stress moves coming in next session.
Success.
Yeah. And I think, you know, you guys managed to, you get away, you're down on 13-13. Perhaps Etima even leads you to safety. Should we say that? It feels like that's what you were pushing for.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I would be into that.
Yeah.
Where would you take us?
Yeah, what safe house do you take them to?
Oh yeah, let me go look at these awesome locations. Places. Sorry. I mean, Refuge 1313 feels like a place that we could go hide out.
He is hurt up as well, isn't he? You know, he's got that big, like, Jaldar's been running on adrenaline, but like after this crash and everything, and you realize that comlink that blew up has like fused into the side of his head where it got melted.
Holy poodoo. Yeah, I think I'll take them to Refuge 1313, mostly because I just want to see you play Baden Fen.
Nice. Cool.
We got to get you healed up. Come on. This way.
And that's where we'll draw the end of the session as Crix, you know, is doing like CPR, like calling for a medic on Batty.
And between that, he screams at Prefect Rex, "Why would you send her in there without backup? Just because she breathes does not mean she's worthless. Why do you treat us like this?"
Ooh, nice.
So all the other CFS guys can hear it.
I love it. And yeah, you know, you're dragging Jaldar down the corridors. You know, like, come on, I know a place where you can get that fixed up. And on the streets, just chaos, explosions, blaster fire. Black Sun has picked a fight with security, open warfare. And we'll end the session there, I think, guys. Should we have a look at the keys? Did anyone Mark XP, I think. Let's look at Jaldar's. Mark XP, when you personally tackle a messy problem, I think you definitely did that.
Yeah.
I
don't think I did paranoia.
No. If you'd been like Skara, you're working with them and force them to roll justify themselves or whatever, right? That would have done that, perhaps. Ettima.
Maybe I pushed daring because
I'd say daring.
I could have bailed on this real easy and it would have been smart.
Yeah.
You could have been part of that crowd of people right now, right? You didn't have to go with them and try and protect the asset. Skara.
I mean, I could make an argument for doing the clear thing on ambition, seize the day and ask for forgiveness, but I don't think it fully.
But I would suggest you actually did the Mark XP. Mark XP when someone gives you a job that was supposed to go to someone else. I mean, you weren't supposed to be messed up in this. You're supposed to be selling drugs, not trying to stop Prax from leaving.
I'd go with that. Yeah.
Okay.
And Crix.
Closest I come is Mark XP when you play two sides against each other without their knowledge. And that was, but I think that
that might be next session rather than this session. I think you set up that because
I
you failed the role. Yeah.
Yep.
So like, it wasn't without their knowledge. It was with their knowledge indeed. Okay. And is there any end of session? I can't remember. I don't think there is there?
So far we had two fatalities, one of which is Asori Abran and Prax, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those are two of my guys. So those those are two people that I didn't like. So we're good.
I didn't think it would all go quite that way.
Yeah, if Beatty doesn't make it, I'm home free.
Cool. Should we? Thanks very much, guys. Do you want to put an end? We'll do stars on which is off recording.
Okay, I'll pause. I'll stop recording here.